Hi, I'm Maggie Weldon from maggiescrochet.com, and this video is sponsored by Premier Yarns. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Zookeeper hat, and this is the bunny. There's several hats, and this also comes in a knitted version, but I'm going to be showing you how to make the crocheted version, but I'll give you the link to the knitted version. But this is adorable, and the way it's sized in the pattern is so that you can make this for anybody. So like your husband could wear one of these if you really wanted. I don't want to go there, but anyway. Then you know, especially for little kids, this is perfect, and especially for Halloween or Easter time, it'd be a lot of fun. And I know a lot of teenagers that would, one time I was in an airport and this kid had this adorable hat on that was like a zebra. And I had to go over to him because it was crocheted, and it turned out that his mom had made them for all the kids, and they loved them. So this yarn comes in 13 colors, and it's called Hush, and it's by Premier. And some of my favorite colors are like this one. It's called Pajama Party, and then this one is called Cotton Candy, and then you've got solids, and then the variegated colors also. So this is perfect for really soft plush projects for little kids, and it works up really quick. It's 100% polyester, machine wash, dry flat, and this is a 1.75 ounce or a 50-gram ball, which has 88 yards in it, and the knit gauge is a US number 9 for the needles, and the crochet gauge is a J or number 10. And like I said, anybody in your family can wear this hat because it's sized for everybody. And the skill is intermediate, but it's kind of on the easy side of intermediate. And for this hat, you will need one ball of white, one ball of pink, and Premier's Eversoft. You need like some worsted weight yarn for the little details here. And the US number 9 or 5.5 millimeter needles for the knitted version, and a J hook for the crochet version. So the links to everything are listed below, and now I'm going to go to a close-up lesson and show you how to make this adorable little hat. Here's a close-up of the Zookeeper bunny hat in crochet, and there's also a knitted version. And it started from the very top, and then you work down to whatever width increases you want to work for your pattern. And then for a good part of this, it's just work even until you get to a certain number of inches. And then you split off for the ear flaps, and then you make these ears separate and sew them on. So to start with, you chain 4, and I've already done that, and I leave a long end on my starting chain, and you join with a slip stitch to form a ring, so in the first chain. So you go back to your first chain there and slip stitch in that like this, and then you have a little opening here, and that's the center of your ring. Now I always work over the end of my starting chain, and that's so I can pull my stitches and close up the hole in the middle because I don't like the hole. So anyway, and then it says to work 6 single crochets into the ring. So you want to work real loose with this type of yarn so it's easier to find your stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now if I pull the end of my starting chain like this very carefully, because I don't want my yarn to break, I can close up that hole. So now you take a long piece of contrasting yarn, and this is probably about 18 inches long, 12 would probably work, and you just lay it on this side of the last stitch that you worked, and then you continue on to round 2 without joining. So now if you have a hard time seeing the stitches, which they are kind of hard to find because of this yarn, you might want to feel it, so you can feel the little space underneath those top 2 loops. So right now I'm going to go into the stitches of round 1, and I'm going to work 2 single crochets in each of the 6 single crochets from round 1. So there's 2, and then I'm going to go underneath the next one and there's 3 and 4, and then the next one's here, and then 5 and 6, and then 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. So that completes round 2. I'm not going to join, and I'm just going to move my stitch marker. I can either move it from, you know, it's like right here. I can move it back like this, or I can bring this one forward, but I like to move it back. So let me just say I'm going to move it back like that. And then on the next round, I'm going to work 2 singles in the next one, and then just 1 single in the next, and then 2 and 1, and then 2 and then 1, and then 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2. So you're increasing every other stitch. Okay, so now I've done 2 in one, and then 1 in the other, and then so that gives me 18. So all the increases are done the same way, except that you're gonna add 1 more single crochet in between the increase stitches. So now the next one will be 2 in the first one, and then 1 and 1, 2, an increase, and then 1 and 1. So you're increasing 1 stitch in between your increases. So here's 2, and then 1 and 1, and then 2 and 1 and 1, and then 2, 1 and 1. I always count like this in my head. And then 2 for the increase, and then 1 and 1. Okay, so now at the end of this round, you are gonna have 24 single crochets, and you move the marker again, and now the next one starts out with 2, like an increase, and then 3, and then increase and 3. And actually in the pattern it's written where you do the 3 first, and then you do the increase, but the pattern is the same. You're increasing 1 in between each one more individual stitch. So continue on until you reach the size that you want, and then I'll come back on camera, like it stops at round 6, and then for child size it goes to round 7 and 8, and then adult size goes up to round 9, where you keep increasing, and then you're just going to crochet even after a certain point. So I will come back on camera once I have all of my hat made pretty much. I'm going to follow the directions here for the child size, and I'm going to have the hat completed when I come down. So you're going to be increasing out to a certain point depending on what size hat you're doing, and then you're going to crochet even for like 5 inches for the child size and 7 and 8 inches for the larger sizes. And then I'll come back on camera with my hat worked all the way up to here, and then I'm going to show you how to make the ear flaps. So I finished my hat, and now I'm ready to make my ear flaps. So I thought this light blue paper underneath my work would help. since I'm working with a light colored yarn. So to make the ear flaps, the finished ear flap looks like this, and it started right here, and you just go back and forth in rows, and at the center of the 3 single crochet group you're going to make 3 single crochet stitches in every single row, and at the very beginning and end you're going to have 2 singles, and then on the straightaways here it's just single crochets in the stitches. So to get started, you chain 2. I'm going to do this really loose so we can see what the stitches are, because this yarn is kind of hard to work with. So I'm going to work 3 single crochets in the second chain from hook. So 1, 2, and 3, and that's row 1. So I have 3 single crochets. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'm going to work 2 singles in the first single, and then I'm going to work, I can feel the stitches in there, so that's a good way to figure out where the stitches are that I need to work into. So I'm going to work 3 singles into the center single crochet, and then I'm going to work 2 singles in the last single crochet. So that gives me 7 single crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to work 2 singles in the first single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And now I'm going to work 3 single crochets in the center single crochet of the 3 single crochet group, and then I'm going to single in the next 2 singles, and then I'm going to work 2 singles in the last single. So that is the end of row 3, and then you'll have 15 single crochet stitches. No, 11 on that row. Okay, chain 1, turn, 2 singles in the first one, single crochet in the next 4 single crochets, work 3 single crochets in the center single crochet of the 3 single crochet group, single crochet in the next 4 single crochets, two single crochets in the last one, and that completes row 4, and there's 15 single crochets. This is the last row of the ear flap. So 2 in the first one, single crochet across to the tip, so there's 6 single crochets across, and then 3 at the top, and then 6 back down, and then 2 in the end, and that completes row 5, and the ear flap is done. So at the end of row 5, what you want to do is finish off, but you also want to leave a long end so you can sew the ear flap to the hat. And I did mine super loose so that you could see it in the demonstration, and this is the same pattern worked in a tighter stitch that my crocheter stitched up for me. So then you would sew these, finish off leaving a really long end, and then sew these to the sides of the hat. And now next I'm going to show you how to make the bunny ears. So here's a close-up of the ear, and to start you chain, and the chain is down in here, and then you come back and you work so many stitches along here, and then you work 2 single crochets in the next 2 chains, and then the same amount of stitches that you had over here you work down, and then you chain 1 turn and you come back here and work the increases up here and then back here, and then you just keep going back and forth. And then when you get done with row 3, you're going to switch to the white color and then go back and forth for 2 rows of that. And then when you're done, you just sew this to the hat. So in the beginning, it tells you to chain. Let's put the ear out here. So that's the goal right there. It's funny. Okay, so it tells you to chain 26, which I've already done. And then it says to work a single crochet in each of next 12 chains. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, then it says to work 2 single crochets in each of next 2 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going back down the other side with 12 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, if I could find it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Just make sure that you have 12 single crochets going up to the peak here, and then 2 single crochets in the next 2, and 12 coming down. So the best way to find the stitches with this is to just kind of feel them, and now that I'm past the starting chain, it gets a little bit easier. And if you run out of chains, or I would just fudge that in there, just make sure that you have the number, and in the pattern it tells you exactly how many you should have. So, because you definitely won't see it if you fudge it in on this. So you chain 1, turn, and now you work 13 single crochets up to the peak. I think I skipped one there. 6. There we go. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, now you work 2 single crochets in each of the next 2 single crochets, and you should be right around the peak, like it's creating like an elbow, and then do the same number of stitches back down, which is 13. Okay, so you keep going like this. That's the end of row 2, and row 3 will be the end of the pink, and then row 4 and row 5 are the white rows that you see here. And then when you get done, you finish off and leave a really long end, and you actually sew the beginning chain together. This is the actually the beginning chain folded together, and you stitch these chains together like that. And then across the bottom right here, you can see where this is stitched to the hat. So that's how you make the ears, and I've shown you how to do the flaps. And then here there's some little embroidery for the eyes. So let me show you how to do that. So once you get your, you sew your ear flaps on, and then you make a little tassel here. I'm going to show you that tassel right now. So the tassel, let me clip my pink here. So the tassel, what you want to do is just, see, this is about this long. Got my little cardboard here. So you decide on how long you want your fringe, and I'm just gonna wrap this around a piece of cardboard. And this says cut 3 pieces of A and 2 pieces of B, but you can do whatever you want really here. So I just wrap it around the cardboard, and then I cut across one side like this, and then you take the tip of your ear flap here, and you take, let me see, this is 4, so this is like 4 or 5 strands. I'll just do 4 strands to show you. And you fold your strands in half like this, and then you go into the tip of the ear flap like this, and you bring your hook from the wrong side to the right side, and then you place the fold over your the end of your crochet hook like this, bring the fold to the wrong side like this, and pull it out about 1.5 inches like that. And then take all the other strands and then pull that through the fold like that. So that's how you make a tassel, like that. So now I'm going to come back on camera, and I'll show you a little bit on how to embroider the eyes. So here is the embroidery close up. And this is done with a double strand for the eyes of Eversoft yarn in tan color. And then this was done with the pink color here. So let me show you how to do the eyes. And if you look super close at the eyes, you'll see that it was done over 3 stitches. And here's a single crochet right here, and then there's a skip single crochet, and here's a third one. So you're going to come up out of this single crochet, go up to the next row there and place a strand, and then come up out of there, skip this one down here and go back down here to create this triangle. Then if you look really close, there's only 1 skip single crochet between the eyes, and then you create your next eye over here. And then if you go down here, the nose is kind of centered between the eyes, and then right on this V here. And let's look really close at the nose while we're at it. And the nose was created over 3 single crochet stitches, and it looks like it was just like satin stitched on there. Then you come down here with a straight stitch, and then you come down and there's about 3 or 4 straight stitches that curl up for the mouth like that. So let me see if I can do the same thing. Oh, the other thing I want you to notice is that it's about 1.5 inches from the bottom edge of your hat. So the eyes are up about 1, 2, 3 inches up. So that'll give us something to go by. And actually, if you want to do your embroidery first, it might be a good idea. And then you can put your ears on to match wherever your face features are. And then you can put your ear flaps on to match, so it looks like this when you get done. So I've threaded a yarn needle with a double strand of Eversoft tan yarn. I just folded it in half like this. And then on the underside, I know that I want to start about 3 inches up, which is probably about my finger height here. I'm going to do a little bit lower because this is a small hat. So I'm going to figure out which stitch I want to go into. So let's say I want to go into this stitch. So on the wrong side, I'm going to come into that area of where I want my stitch to be, and I'm going to go into just the tops of the stitches because I don't want it to show on the other side. So just like this. And I'm going to make sure it doesn't show on the right side. And I need to kind of get my end secured on the back side before I start. Okay, I'm going to go a couple times there like that. Okay, pull. Okay, now I'm ready to work on the right side here, and I'm going to go into this single crochet stitch right here, and then I'm going to go 1 row up into the next single crochet over there, and then I'm going to skip a single crochet right here and come back down to this row over here like that. And then I'm going to go back up to there and come out the back side like that. So there's one eye. So I basically started down here, went up here between the, I went over to the next stitch but 1 row up, and then I came down here and then went back up to there. And now I'm going to skip this stitch in between, and I'm going to come out right here to start the next eye. Then I'm going to come up here, which is 1 row up and over, and then I'm going to come out over here with a skip stitch in between. And you may have to pull it out and make sure that you have it in the right place. And this one looks a little high. I think I went up to a little bit too far. So all I got to do is bring my yarn back like this. It should work. Yes. Okay, so I think it should be right here, and then maybe right here. I don't know. So just play around with this to make sure that looks too low. So anyway, all right, so I need to go right here and then come out right here. So anyway, you get the idea what this should look like with the eyes. Or if you want to, you could just sew some wiggle eyes on there. So that kind of, they did a better job right here. But anyway, that gives you the general idea of how to do that. And then for the nose, you just have to practice on your eyes. I might have needed to go up one more row to make that look right. But I'm sure yours will look beautiful. Just make sure you post pictures. I want to see pictures of what you make. So now for the nose, you just thread your yarn onto your yarn needle, and you start from the back like I showed you before, and just below, probably about a ½ inch below the eyes, you want to start out like in this direction, and you could go like this and just make a triangle going down. Just have your stitches get shorter and shorter as you go down to make the nose like that. So that's how you do the embroidery for the features. Okay, so I think we got it now. I showed you how to do everything for this, and you just keep, like I was wider here, and then I just keep making it more and more narrow, and just make sure you keep going until you fill in the triangle. And then this is a single strand, and it's just the same type of stitches up here. So that is how you make this adorable Zookeeper bunny hat, and the links to everything are listed below. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel.